We are talking running back preview part 2, and that's going to start right now. What's up, everybody? It's Bob's Three-Toed Warriors with Word on the Streets, Season 1, Episode 28, I believe it is. And we're live here at Studio 1329. I have with me Mr. Matt at Fantasy Analyze. How you doing, sir?
Doing well. It's
cool.
Definitely nice to be here with you, Bob.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, I'm excited to kind of chop these running backs up with you.
Of course. Don't hold any punches back.
Okay.
I'm a tough guy. I can take them.
They're coming.
They're probably gonna be. It's probably gonna be due. So
yeah. So of course, Fantasy Analyze is our tag. We're called Fantasy Analyzers. You can catch us at fantasyanalyzers.com, at Fantasy Analyze, as you see on my name. As well as I want to give a shout out to Sack Experts. Me and David had been working on a podcast and kind of practicing, doing rehearsals, and we definitely have a treat ready for everyone. So definitely keep an eye out for that. Laptop Lombardi is one of our writers that I'm close with. We talk almost every day. He definitely has good waiver wire pickups throughout the season and those articles. So definitely excited about that. Of course, season's coming. We're all itching for that. So here we go. You know what I mean?
Okay. All right. I like it. So what is your show going to be all about?
So one of them is a laid back conversation, geared mostly on news. Start sits is another thing we're going into as far as mailbag. We're going to handle as much viewer questions as we can.
Nice.
But we really want to just kind of chop up, just kind of like what we're doing tonight, chop up different situations, maybe changes, injuries, that kind of thing. So, we're really excited about what we're producing, and we really want to put the preparation in place before. So, we're prepared and we're ready to kind of give the viewers what they want.
I love it. We got a projected date.
So
we don't want to put that out there yet. No
projected date is, I'd say, 10 days from now. So we're looking at mid to late-ish August. We really want to make sure that it's out before the redraft it. And with COVID, there's a lot of delays and things like that.
Sure.
So we're looking forward to it, and we want to make sure that we're, in the position to do what we want to do.
All right. And in the real world, that's about a week or less from now to those hearing this on Monday. So it's coming hot, it's coming strong. So listening, people, go follow him at Fantasy Analyze and subscribe to his show or watch for it. That way you can subscribe to it once it comes up. So, all right, let's get into we ran through, that's a tongue twister, the first 14 running backs on the live stream. For those of you listening to the show today, which is Monday in the pod ears, you could catch the replay of the live stream if you missed it on Saturday morning. Shows come out Monday and Thursdays. Currently, the live stream happens on Wednesdays with the replay on Thursdays. Those days are going to tweak as the regular season comes here, and I'll inform you when they do. So you can find me at Bob's Three-Toed on Twitter, at Bob's Three-Toed, or not at, but Bob's Three-Toed Warriors on YouTube, and the Word on Streets Fantasy Football group on Facebook. So you can find me in all those lovely places. Make sure you subscribe and like and hit the notification bell and all those wonderful things that really goes a lot further than you think they do and really helps us out a lot more than you think they do. So we greatly appreciate it. So do so. So let's get into player number 15 for me. That is Austin Ekeler. Now this is a half PPR. I'm pretty confident that if he was a full PPR, he would have bounced above Todd Gurley, Mark Ingram, Aaron Jones, even possibly for me, maybe. But for me, he's running back 15 in this half PPR. For the rest of the world, they have him up at number 12. So I always feel like I'm high on Ekeler, and I'm dogging him here. So let's pull up the stats and let's see what I did wrong, maybe, or I don't know. So here's Austin Ekeler the last 2 years. He had 554 yards 2 years ago in 16 games, not even a full season, 557 in a full season. And that was the 2 seasons ago was with Melvin Gordon on the field and missing 2 games himself. So the man can rush. I don't want people to just think, well, okay, he just did so well because Melvin Gordon wasn't there. Let's talk about his receiving game. 108 targets, 92 receptions last season, 993 yards. Redunculous. 8 touchdowns through the air, 3 on the ground. So previous 2 seasons, he only had 404 yards receiving, 279. And those were considered decent, standalone, value type player, right? Kind of like just a decent guy you can still pick up and plug in for your bye week fills, those kind of things, especially in a PPR. Here's what I have him for. I have him for 804 on the ground, and that is an improvement of 250, 300 yards. I have him for 7 rushing TDs, which is 4 more than ever he's done. He's done 2, 3, and 3 in the last 3 years. I only have him for 500 receiving yards, and that's a drop. That's a dip from last year's 1,000. I think that 1,000 was a little ridiculous. I brought him above the 404 he's done and the 279 in the last 2 years prior, but I dropped him to 505, and I can almost guarantee that's why I'm falling so far behind the consensus and 5 projected touchdowns versus 8. So there's changes there. There's Tyrod Taylor. There's maybe Justin Herbert. There's pretty much the same wide receiver cast around him. I don't know if Josh Kelly is really, or Justin Jackson's any real threat to him. I think they vulture from each other, if anything else. Hunter Henry is realistically there. Should be good. Should be fine. Should have a great year. What's your thoughts on him, Austin Ekeler?
I might be a little bullish.
Okay.
Honestly,
That's okay.
I have him at my 9 spot.
So
about a month ago, I actually had him up to 6, and he's slipping for me.
Okay.
I love Ekeler. I feel like it's more of an underdog story.
Sure, absolutely. The undrafted running back.
I love him coming up from behind Gordon, and then he has this opportunity. So we'll see what this looks like. He's flashed excellence. I'll just say that off the bat, especially in the receiving game. You kind of brought up that. The rushing game is the big question. He can do it. Can he do it to the scale that we need to in a top 10 running back? That's the biggest question, and that's why I think he's slipping a little bit for me.
Yeah. Well, if I just bump him from almost 4 targets a game to 6 targets a game, he goes up to 769 yards. But then someone else isn't getting the ball in that team. I don't really have any. I have Keenan Allen for just under 1,000 yards, Mike Williams for 700, and then it's 600 for Hunter Henry. It's just nickels and dimes after that. So I don't see the only problem for me is I don't see Tyrod Taylor. I have Tyrod Taylor down for 480 passing attempts, and that's low compared to other quarterbacks that are in the 500, 550, 600. It's just he hasn't proven himself to be that big passer. And that's why I think that's why I knocked around Austin Ekeler so low.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Chubb and Hyde in Cleveland with Tyrod for like a few weeks till Mayfield took over, and it's not comforting, especially looking at one of his running backs and receiving options.
Yeah, I don't think it's him.
So I still have him at that 9 because I feel like that upside gives him that spot for me personally.
Yeah.
That floor is definitely something that'll be dangerous. But we have to consider that with running backs, maybe into the second round, back into that second, depending on, how it plays out, of course.
Okay. All right, there we go. So the funny part here to me, because I like to laugh at stupid crap. All right. The funny part to me here is I have him, what did I say, at 15, in tier 5. And right behind him, I have Melvin Gordon, LeVeon Bell, and then Nick Chubb at 18. I got to take another look at that one. But I have Melvin Gordon right behind him. only separated by less than 2 points. That's what, 2 passes in PPR for 10 yards, something like that. It's not much is the point being there. So let's take a look at his scenario, because I'm a Broncos fan, and I got to be careful not to ride any bandwagons here, because I could do that. Melvin Gordon, 1,100 yards, 880, and 600 yards. The 885 and the 612, that's in 12 games. That's 3/4 of a season. You add in another third of what he had, he's easily up in that 8, 9, 10 range, I think, pretty simply, although his yards per carry is usually garbage. But his receiving, almost 500 yards a year, except for last year, which is 296. 8 rushing touchdowns, 1 receiving touchdown last year. So that's that part. What did we give him? We gave him 946 yards. That's totally doable for him. 9 TDs. I am giving him a rebound because I'm projecting my Broncos to have a better year and them to be closer to that end zone for once. And 3 receiving touchdowns, which isn't out of the realm for him. 361 yards. Also, he's a 500-yard receiving running back. So I don't think that's outlandish at all, but the rest of the world would have Melvin Gordon at – who's Melvin Gordon? Where's Melvin Gordon? 16. Okay, same spot. So they agree with me. How do you like Melvin Gordon here, and are you afraid to draft him? Next question.
Okay, so Melvin Gordon, it definitely brings up this memory for me that haunts me till this day. Okay, hold on. Let me take a breath.
All right. I'll take a sip of my little unofficial sponsor here.
I think it was, yeah, right. There you go. Melvin Gordon went off, and it was like his breakout year. I believe off the top of my head, it was 2016. He just went off, and everyone's like, Melvin Gordon? And the prior season, it was just like, oh, it's just that guy kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And I ended up trading him that season for Lamar Miller. Straight up. And I was like, okay, well, Lamar Miller has kind of this reputation behind him. I think he'll stick, and I think he'll be the value in the end. Mm-hmm. That didn't turn out well for me because like I said, I thought that Melvin Gordon was kind of a flare, and it was just going to fade.
A little flash in the pan?
Flash in the pan, exactly. And that didn't pan out for me. But coming to this season, I think he's in a great situation in Denver. Denver, they got Elway, as the GM, and he's going to make sure that Melvin Gordon is going to get the ball, especially to establish Jerry Jeudy, who's coming in to that receiving core. Cortland Sutton, still progressing, and we've seen him, especially in dynasty rosters, in drafts, being taken way too high. I think that Melvin Gordon is this veteran back that could come in and play a foundation for that offense. So I'm excited to see kind of how they use him. I know he's going to get the ball. And I think your projections is pretty, no complaints, honestly. I think you have him about exactly where I have him. I think, I don't know if we brought up Chris Carson yet. It might be soon.
Not yet.
Here,
he's coming. He's
and Chris Carson right now are kind of in that same realm for me, even though Chris Carson's staying in Seattle. So, I'm excited to see how he's used in Denver. It's always fun to see a new player in a new system, in a new offense. So,
yeah, it'll be interesting. And to me, it was a luxury pick. I'm like, why are they grabbing him? They have the 2 guys that are totally capable. So what I really, really hope they don't do is the crap they did 2 seasons ago and just adding that third guy in way too much. So as long as they don't do that, I think you should be fine. If they start adding I just went blank, all 3 running backs in, it'll just be not good. Freeman. See, stop thinking about it, boom, pop back in my head.
There it is.
That's the name disease for you. There's the mad cow. All right, so we like Melvin Gordon here. Here's the next one, which I have 4 spots ahead of the rest of the world. So I have Mr. Lev Bell at 17. The rest of the world's saying he's averaged 21 for us. So, okay, let's take a look at the numbers. Why is that? So Lev Bell, He didn't play 2 years ago, but the 2 years I'm looking at are 2017 and 19. Two different teams, two different situations, two different worlds. In Pittsburgh, almost 1,300 yards. With the Jets, 800 yards. Big difference. 4 yards per carry down to 3.2. There's that crappy offensive line for you. 9 rushing touchdowns down to 3. That's that crappy offense that can't do crap for you. Sorry if you're listening to New York, or not New York. Wow, probably get beat up for that one too. New Jersey. Wait, they actually are in New York, though, I think, aren't they? The Jets?
What was that?
Aren't they? Never mind.
AFC East?
Huh?
AFC East?
No. The Jets.
Oh, okay.
Never mind. Anyway. Little random tangent there. I'm not editing that out. I'm not taking the time for that. All right. 85 receptions down to 66. Reception yards, 655 down to 461. He did keep his reception average about the same, and 2 touchdowns down to 1 in the air. So just everything went so far backwards for him on that team. And he is so talented. I feel like it has to come back more towards the norm. It's definitely not going back to Pittsburgh Steelers heydays scoring. So here's what we have. 247 rushing attempts. He had 245 last year. Does way more than that in Pittsburgh. 915 yards. That's less than 1,000. It's completely reasonable. 7 touchdowns. Again, I think it's reasonable. Receptions. I still have him having a good little chunk of receptions. About what he had last year of 65 receptions for 665 yards and 2 touchdowns. So I don't think that's too crazy for Bell. I think it's totally doable. I think Sam Darnold's going to take a step forward this year. I am sad that Robbie Anderson left the team because I love Robbie Anderson. I love that explosiveness. The problem if you're loving Robbie Anderson, you say, well, that's going to help the team. They're going to score more. The problem is when Robbie Anderson catches the ball, he just scores himself. So it's not going to help your running back.
Exactly.
So it probably works out better for him. But what are your thoughts on LeVeon Bell here at 17?
The glorious LeVeon Bell of
the heyday
years. He was a beauty to watch. Of course, the first thing that comes to mind is that patience.
Mm-hmm.
He was willing to wait for the hole, and not to the point where anybody's going to get him. It's just he was there, and he was like a hawk, waiting for that hole to open up. He just burst through it. It was like LT of
stop that.
So they're in the same realm for me as far as history. I want to kind of pin on Sam Darnold. Mm-hmm. I followed personally. I'm a USC fan, so I followed him since college. I believe in him still as a professional. USC quarterbacks haven't had the greatest time in the NFL. To name a few, Mark Sanchez, and Mark Sanchez. So
tell us how you really feel.
I like what I've seen from Sam Darnold. I see the injuries have kind of hindered his development, but like you said, he's primed to take that step forward. And I think Lev Bell will appreciate that. I guess to say it, that's the best way I can say it is when the passing game is on, the running game is on. And when the running game is on, the passing game is on. So I like the situation that Lev Bell is in better than last season. I didn't have good feelings about last season. Coming off a year, going to Jets. Ugh. But now, I see this team progressing. It doesn't look as shiny as the Dolphins right now, but they're gonna be able to give Lev Bell some more opportunities this season compared to last.
I can totally see that. I can just see him having a rebound year. And if they're doing bad, they can keep dumping in the ball and he'll keep getting yardage. And if they're doing good, they keep handing the ball and they're good. He doesn't have someone sitting behind him like the next guy we're about to talk about does. So if we're ready to talk about the next guy, we're ready to talk about my running back 18. And holy hell, we're going to talk about the world's running back 8. 8. Oh my God. Dang. I'm down 10 spots on Mr. Nick Chubb. What? So while you were talking, I took a glance. I'm like, where am I missing? What did I do wrong? I had to screw up the stat somewhere. All right, you ready for the my logic behind it?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay. Last year, 2 years ago, he had 1,000 yards, and that was a good season. He was RB16. It was a good season. He didn't start out as the man. That was his rookie year. But he did good. Last year, just shy of 1,500 yards on just shy of 300 rushing attempts. He was used and abused, and he balled out. On that, he got 5 yards per carry, 8 rushing touchdowns, both of the last 2 years. Probably should have had a lot more than 8 last year on his 1,500 rushing yards, but he didn't. Targets, he had 49 targets for 3 receptions. So basically about 2.25 receptions a game. Nothing magical. Just under 300 yards. Didn't get a single touchdown out of it, which I think is a little bit low, a little surprising. He got 2 the year before on 20 receptions. So he finished RB7 last year, RB16 the year before in his partial season. So full season, he probably would have still finished around RB7. So how in the world do I have him so low? Well, I don't like to use the Kareem Hunt factor, but let's talk about it because it might be a factor.
You stole my thunder.
Huh?
You stole my thunder.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna let you come back in. I'm gonna give you your thunder right now. Or did I already steal too much of it?
No, you're good. I mean, I was going to go straight to Hunt. One word, Hunt. I mean,
okay.
I'm looking at his sleeper profile right now and his stats from last season. He's like green, for the good scores for the weekly. And then there's the only reds he got was once Hunt came back. Like he's like 7.9. I think this is full PPR, 4.5 and 4.2.
Yeah.
That's not the guy that I want to invest top 10 pick in. Come on now.
Sure.
Or even more second round.
Sure.
So I think we're on the same page. I mean, I'll bump it back to you, but
all right. Well, here, listen to this part. Nick Chubb, I gave him 285 yard rushes. That's only about a dozen maybe behind what he had. It's still a workload. I gave him 1,452 yards. That is only 50 yards less than last year. That's a damn workload. I only gave him 7 rushing touchdowns instead of 8. Okay, I stole one from him, and that would probably bump him up a couple spots if I just gave him that one back. I only counted him in for 20 receptions for 154 and 1. So, and last year he was 36 for 278 and 0. So even the yards I took away from him, I gave back to him with the touchdown that he didn't get last year. But the problem, I think, is Kareem Hunt, he's getting almost 100 rushing attempts, about almost 400, 500 yards. And he's going to get some touchdowns out of it because he is a good running back. If he doesn't get 4 touchdowns, I would be surprised. He's going to get 68 receptions. He's going to get, I'm telling you, people, I've seen the future. He's going to get, he might get 68 receptions for just under 600 yards and 3 touchdowns because he is a great receiver. And if you listen to the coaches talking, he's working with the wide receivers and the running backs, which means they'll both be on the field at the same time. He'll be getting more passing attempts. Maybe that leaves more for Chubb. But if you do, then you got to take him away from Odell Beckham, who's maybe healthy this year and ready to go. Jarvis Landry, who's maybe healthy this year and ready to go. Those guys are going to need their almost, probably 1,100, 1,200 yards for Beckham, around just under 1,000 yards for Landry. They're going to need theirs. And the tertiary players are going to need some yardage. Hooper is going to come in and probably get a good 600 or so. So I don't see that leaving a lot of passing work for Chubb. If I'm the coach, I don't care about your fantasy team. Unfortunately, I care about getting the W's. And so if I can have Chubb run a couple times, okay, go have a seat and get Hunt in here, and he can run the ball and pass the ball, fine. I don't care. Just give me the yardage. Give me the touchdowns. Whatever. I'm not picky. Give me that steak.
No, yeah, for sure. And game script is a big thing. Is will they be able to get out ahead? Will they be able to establish run game?
Sure.
And
absolutely.
From behind, then, which is kind of what we're seeing, is Hunt's going to get that work.
Yep. All right. Let's go to the guy that I didn't pre-put on my board. Let's go to my man, the first guy in tier number 6, which is Devin Singletary. So tier number 6 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people in here. And I can't say that I necessarily agree with how I have this, but this is how I have it. So I have to agree with it. I have Devin Singletary, Chris Carson, James Conner, David Johnson, and Leonard Fournette. So a lot of opportunity here, a lot of question marks here. Let's pull up Devin Singletary. He plays in Buffalo. There's the Bees, Buffalo. Slide over. Okay. Rookie came out, got some work, only played in 12 games. In those 12 games, 151 rushing attempts, 775 yards, 5.1 per carry because he's Devin Motor Boatin' son of a bee Singletary. 41 targets, 29 receptions, almost 200 yards, and 2 receiving touchdowns. Not bad. It could have definitely used some more rushing touchdowns. He's got TJ Yeldon there. He's got the Zack Moss guy that everybody's hyping. I'm not buying it. I get that he's better than Frank Gore, the Eternal Stone. Is he, though? I don't know. Probably is. He's about 40 years younger. He could get a DNA test. So here's Singletary's numbers. I have him statted for 247. So that is a bump in his work, but he's also got a bump in his games. 1187 on the rushing yards. That's an average of. I only gave him 4.8 yards per carry. So I took it down a notch. 6 rushing touchdowns. If you're running 247 times, you should probably have more than 6 rushing touchdowns. But I respect the fact that Moss is going to get his and that the quarterback's going to get his because that's what they do, especially Josh Allen. I get that. So I limited him to 6 touchdowns. I think he has way more than 6 touchdowns. Upside, I think he gains the trust of the team and he gets more opportunities there. 260 yards receiving for 36 receptions, 3 receiving touchdowns. And that's how I get to where I got.
I like it.
So are you a Singletary guy or are you a Zack Moss guy?
So Zack Moss came to mind immediately. The hype train is hot. We see like trades Keyshawn Vaughn, Zack Moss, that Tampa Bay, whatever. Anyways, Josh Allen's rushing ability makes me hesitate with either one.
Sure.
What we've seen with Devin Singletary, he's gifted. I'll just put that out. I love Buffalo. I love them bringing in Diggs. That'll help as well. But Josh Allen's rushing ability, I think you're setting him out fairly. I wouldn't go as high as you.
For Singletary?
Lower, with Singletary.
Oh, the world has him down at running back 24 versus my 19.
Yeah.
So that's 5 spots behind. I'm high on him.
Probably
this is my this is going to be my word on the streets guy. Plant a flag in a guy. This is going to be my guy that I'm either going to win on this year or I'm going to lose on.
I can respect that. I mean, the competition between him and Moss is going to be something to look out for. Was the coaching, the coaching core there? What are they going to do? Are they going to look to Singletary? Are they going to get him going? Is he going to find a rhythm? Are they going to throw Moss in there and kind of do the Gore thing with him and not really give him the opportunity to explode and to get into the game and just, find his groove? I don't know if I see that, and that's what kind of makes me hesitate to pull the trigger at that point.
Yeah, so the other question mark I have is that, Josh Allen had all those touchdowns, but he had most of his touchdowns after Frank Gore failed over and over at the goal line. It's not a joke. It's serious. It happened. It's real.
I know.
And so, okay, do they give it to Gore because he's more of a bowling ball? Do they give it to Gore also because he's not a rookie, obviously, like Singletary was last year? So do they not trust Singletary at the goal line last year? Do they trust him more this year? Do they not trust Zack Moss, the rookie, this year, if that's why they didn't trust Singletary last year? Conspiracy theory? I don't care.
I like it. Yeah.
So we don't know. This is one of those ones that it's a guess. It's truly a guess, but I feel I'm leaning towards I'm putting my stamp on him. So we'll see what happens here. All right. You asked for this man earlier. Here he is. It's Mr. Chris Carson. He plays for the hell does he play for?
Seattle.
Seattle Seahawks. I don't know why I was drawing a blank there.
I mean, I'm fresh. I just got in the game, so I definitely understand. Dude.
I did not just win blank. Straight up blank. All right. So, Mr. Chris Carson, I'll give you. You want first dibs or second dibs here? I have him at number 20, and he is number 17. So I'm behind on him.
Yeah, so I have him at 16.
Okay, so you're a lot closer and even a little bit higher. So talk to me about Chris Carson. Why do you love him so much more than I do, and then I'll beat him up a little.
I think he's an old school football player. I think
on an old school team.
Yeah, essentially. The rushing is key there. And then Russell Wilson, of course, is going to control the game. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking, it's a game script type deal, but I think this offense is definitely set up to get it out and ahead and make sure that Carson gets to work. The key concern, of course, is Chris Carson's health.
Yeah.
I hate to say that as a fantasy guy, injury this, injury that, what if, but sure. That's the concern. I mean, is his hip okay? Like, is it solid? Is he going to last through the season? And that's kind of the big thing as far as like Rashad Penny, and they brought in some old dude, I think too. But that's the key concern. I like Chris Carson. I think he's worth the risk, definitely at the value that he's at. I think you're going to either get paid big or you're going to not.
Sure. Yeah, we're never going to find out how his hip is because of HIPAA laws. Sorry. That's why if you saw my face, that's why I was giggling internally. Like a little kid. All right. So here's I agree with everything you just said. 100%. Chris Carson, last 2 years, forget the rookie year. So last 2 years, 14 games and 15 games, pretty much on the same pace. 1,100 and change, 1,200 and change yards. 250, 278 rushing attempts, 4.7, 4.4 yards per carry, 9 and 7 touchdowns. He's getting the touchdowns. Targets, he receives target and a half, two receptions a game, not targets, but receptions a game for 163 yards, 266 yards. So some nice little PPR numbers there. Nothing fantastic though. 2 touchdowns last year, none the year before. It's good. It ain't great. You're not drafting him in the first, second round, though. But it's not great. So let's see why I have him buried and the rest of the world doesn't. I gave him 255 on the rushing. That is it's about in between what he's had the last 2 years. Granted, that's not playing a full season the last 2 years either. 1,123, a little bit lighter than the last 2 years. 8 touchdowns on the ground, 2 in the air, 252 receiving yards. So who got his yards? I gave 422 yards to DJ Dallas. Is that an over? Is that too many yards for the rookie coming in? It might be. Or did I just feel like Carson isn't going to play reliability and I statted him that way internally, mentally, and I shouldn't have? It might have been a boo-boo on my part. I think I was projecting some injury into that one.
That's exactly where we're at. Boo-boos all over the place. We're preseason. We're refining everything. So,
yeah. So, all right. I might be a little low on Chris Carson. I might need to take some of that yardage back away from DJ Dallas and give it to Carson. But we'll see how the preseason goes.
Yeah.
All right. So that was who I have at number 20, which was too low. Next guy is Mr. James Conner, who I have at 21. The world has a 20. So we're pretty even on this one, but I think he is poised to have a fantastic year versus the last guy who I just spat on. Figuratively, not literally. All right. So I can't even use last year's. He's played 14, 13, and 10 games. That's his last 3 seasons. It ain't good, Bob. It ain't good. So in 2018, where he played 13, he ran for 973 yards, 400, almost 500 last year, 12 touchdowns 2 years ago, 4 last year, almost 500 receiving yards 2 years ago, half that last year, 1 receiving TD 2 years ago, and 3, oddly, something finally goes up last year. So, and is Big Ben going to just chuck the ball. Here's Big Ben for you. 561 passing attempts, 675 passing attempts. The guy will throw the ball all day long. They're easy. 600 passing attempts, almost 700 passing attempts. You wonder why the man's shoulder goes out, elbow goes out? Jeez. So before I give my stats on him, where do you have him? What are you thinking about him?
I have him at 15.
Okay, so you're a lot high. You're where I feel like he should be.
Yeah, so it's the injury thing again. Well, injury with Ben Roethlisberger, and then of course, he has his struggles, of course, too. But the Roethlisberger effect is definitely, I think, will be in full effect. I think Juju as well took a hit last season. Last season was a misnomer. Like, we're not going to see that again. If James Conner stays in the game, he's going to be productive. We're going to see the 2018 James Conner. We're not going to have, and we're not going to have this last year James Conner. It's like I'm trashing it in my head, honestly. And I think the public is so low on him right now that he's a guy that I'm targeting. If it's an RB2, I'm happy, honestly. If I get him at my RB2, I'm very pleased. If he ends up being my RB3, then it's a party. Let's do this.
Well, let's take a look for ADP. James Conner ADP is going overall 44.
Yep.
So that's in the 4th round. So if you went running back, wide receiver, you can snag him or any version of that. You could make him your 3rd running back, very possibly.
Oh, absolutely. And then there's, of course, crazy like wide receivers all the way up until the 6th, 7th, 8th round.
Yeah.
So, if I end up with, if I have him at my 4th, like, come on. I think he definitely has that potential to be in that number 1 range.
Yeah, I agree.
Have him there,
Well, I don't know if you saw it was a little YouTube video thing that they had out there. The Steelers. It was Juju and Ben and James Conner, and they were all laying in bed sleeping, and all of a sudden they all sat up and they're like sweating, and they're like they had a nightmare. The nightmare was last season. That was a joke. I made that up, people. But that really should be what happened. Like last season, nightmare in the past. Forget about it. Let's play ball.
Wow.
All right. So the stupid crap I think up on the fly.
Love it.
All right. Thank you, Jim Beam, for that one. So James Conner, I have him for 200 carries, 800 rushing yards. That is totally doable for him. It's not even that great. 7 rushing touchdowns all day long. He could handle that. He did 12 2 years ago. 413 receiving yards off 52 receptions for 2 touchdowns. I think that's low volume. The numbers when I type them in, they seem proportionally correct to the team, but I feel like he can do so much better. His ceiling is so much higher, especially Juju, Deontay Johnson, James Washington, Chase Claypool. Are they going to cannibalize each other? Are they going to cannibalize the running back receptions? That's the part we don't know. And I think, and then you have Ebron too. So I think one of those 4 guys steps back out of the way, and that really actually slides more receptions over to James Conner, a little more rushing, and all of a sudden you've got that guy that you just stole in the 4th round, like you said, and it's one more reason you're holding the trophy up, right?
Absolutely.
I don't know. All right. That's James Conner. It could be one of those sneaky league winners.
Yeah.
This guy right here, I've got him at 22. The world has him at 23. That's David Johnson. I didn't do it. I almost did someone else's thing. I held back partially. It's hard to do, man. Still did it. All right. In Arizona, Mr. David Johnson, now in Arizona. It's a question marks all over the place. No, he's not. He was in Arizona. Sorry.
In Houston.
Yeah, I'm like looking at him on the team. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, That's not what I see.
Yeah. So he got traded back for a bag of donuts.
Did you hear?
All right.
Hopkins?
Yeah. No. All right. Right. All right. So David Johnson. Here we go. I'm gonna let you have this again because it's David Johnson and a lot of torn emotions on this guy. Like a lot of these running backs right here, there were studs 2 years ago, 1 year ago, 3 years ago, and the world has pitchforks right now. But they might be right on this one. I don't know.
Yeah. I think COVID hit early in the NFL last season, if I'm not right. If I'm not mistaken. I mean,
is he subject zero or
maybe
patient zero, whatever they call that?
Yeah, where was he at that point?
Yeah. On vacation in China.
Flight between Arizona and Houston. Is this too soon? I don't even know. I just kind of just put it out there and
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, David Johnson.
Okay. So David Johnson, last 2 seasons, 258 rushing attempts, 940 yards. Not fantastic. 3.6 yards per carry. His last 3 years, 2.1, 3.6, 3.7. It's not an outlier. He just doesn't have a high yards per carry. Last year, 345 yards on just about 100 rushing attempts. 7 rushing TDs versus 2 last year. That's a very big difference, though. 50 receptions 2 years ago versus 36 last year. Also a nice little dip, almost 500 yards versus 370. 3 touchdowns 2 years ago versus 4 last year. So at least that one picked up. Last year, though, was only in 13 games. So, yeah, give him 3 more games. He has some better stats there. But that yards per carry is still a real thing. It's still really a concern for a running back because in the threes, just it stings. It hurts. You can't do anything. What did I give him this year? I gave him 3.7. Okay, not great. No. Duke Johnson averages 4.4, and he sucks behind him. He doesn't suck, but nobody is running out like, yeah, Duke Johnson.
I love the DJs.
Yeah, no. So I gave him 261 rushing attempts, reasonable, just under 1,000 yards, 5 rushing TDs. Maybe that one could come up. I don't know. Almost 400 yards receiving and 3 rushing touchdowns. I think I was actually kind of generous to the guy, really.
I think you perhaps were.
Yeah. And I think I still was, 1 behind them or 1 ahead of them. So it's, I don't know. I traded for David Johnson in a dynasty league, not because I wanted David Johnson because I had to give up Gurley, but I got my man Kenny Galladay, gave up T.Y. Hilton. So,
yeah.
I hope both those guys have bounced back years this year, but I don't know that David Johnson will.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember my Melvin Gordon story.
Did you buy him when he broke his hand?
So David Johnson was my keeper from the point that season he broke out. I believe it was like second season or something crazy. But I kept him for 2 more seasons after, and that never panned out for me, especially with the hand.
Yeah.
So I have personal feelings towards David Johnson that I'm not sure if I can get over, if I can climb that wall.
You got to heal, man.
Ugh.
You got to let it heal. All right. Let's go to my last guy in tier 6, my running back 23, the world's running back 21, a guy who could have a better year than they all have a better year, James. No crap. But it's Leonard Fournette over there in Jacksonville on the Jaguars. So when you look at his last 3 seasons, 1,000 yards, just over 1,000 yards, less than 400 yards in half a season. So that's on pace for 800. Not great. That first 1,000 was in 13 games, and then 1,100 last year in 15 games. Over 265 rushing attempts in the first and third season there. 953. Those rushing touchdowns are just drop. 3 rushing touchdowns for a guy running 265 times. It's not real. That can't happen again. And then it gets worse. He has 76 receptions. Now, that's an outlier for him because he's usually a 36-22 guy. 76 receptions. That's crazy talk. He usually only gets 1 touchdown off his 36. He had 0 touchdowns on 76 receptions. Is he that bad? Is the team that bad? What the hell? What say you?
Minshew.
You forgot to Minshew?
I forgot to Minshew the end zone.
Oh, yes, somebody did.
So it's a positive regression. I don't know. People throw around positive regression. I'm not sure.
Exactly. I'm doing everything I can to avoid that phrase. I did it earlier.
Exactly. So what we're seeing from Leonard Fournette is elite skill. I'll just point that out. The situation definitely hasn't been in his favor, especially with injuries and his team. I think this season we're going to come into a more consistent Jaguars organization as well as offensive system, defenses, looking okay as well. So like that end zone, the crazy numbers that you just said, 3 touchdowns, like
total for him.
Exactly. Between receiving and rushing, we're going to see touchdowns from Leonard Fournette. And if we're going to get this yardage on top of touchdowns, we're going to be very happy with where we're getting Fournette at. I think this is another guy, like I mentioned a little earlier, James Conner. Mm-hmm. Leonard Fournette is another guy, and I like him more personally, that will get into this top 10 if, of course, there's ifs. Injury and the situation stays consistent. It doesn't need to necessarily get better. It just needs to provide some rhythm and provide some stability. And Leonard Fournette's going to get those end zone carries and those targets that'll lead to some touchdowns for him.
Well, you know what the problem was, right? Minshew stole all his rushing touchdowns. No, that's not true. Minshew didn't have any. He had 0. So it wasn't Minshew. Oh, Raquel Armstead took it. No, Raquel Armstead had 0. No. They just sucked last year. 3,200 yards for Minshew and 1,400 games. In 14 games. I mean, okay. Here's what I gave him. 257 rushes. That is behind his big 2 seasons of impartial of only 13 games per season or whatever it was. So it's less than that. So I pulled him back a little. I gave him 1,029 yards. Again, pulled him back from his pace. Okay. I gave him the damn rushing touchdowns back. A guy who runs for 257 attempts should score about 8 rushing touchdowns. I gave him 9. Why? Because he deserves it. Because he's good at running the ball. 4 yards per carry, it's okay. 75% catch percentage is not abnormal for a running back. 32 receptions. I dropped the hell out of his receptions because I gave 41 receptions over to Chris Thompson, who's a legitimate pass-catching threat for all the weeks he's healthy. And I put the caveat in there. Come on, asterisk, and 1 projected receiving touchdown for him. So I did give him 10 touchdowns to get to where he is. I don't think it's unreasonable. Maybe slightly high on the projection for rushing touchdowns. But the man could come in and have a good season and be that nice fourth round, doubt 5th round, but probably 4th round pickup for you. It's a great.
Sorry about that. I definitely like to say, like, kind of a little off topic is like Dalvin Cook, season before last, was Fournette. They're like brothers in injury dumb.
Right.
And we saw what Dalvin Cook could do once he's in. I think Fournette, it reminds me a lot of him. And I think that we can see something like that if we're lucky.
We got to hope, right? We got to hope.
For sure.
And okay, well, Thompson's there. He's going to take work away. And Raquel Armstead, he might take some work away. No. Well, look who Alexander Madison's behind Cook. And that man is good. And he will take work away. But Cook still did his job. So the real deal is Gardner Minshew has to make stuff happen. He has to move the ball down the field. Otherwise, you're just running from the 20 to the 20, and you're never getting in the end zone, and you're not getting the touches that matter. So if they can get back on the scoring tip, they should be fine. The scoring tip? Wow. Okay. I'm not sure. I would say the young generation, but that's more like the 90s generation, I think. So, all right. Let's move to our first. Is this our first rookie? No. Clyde Edwards-Helaire was in there. And okay. Let's move to a rookie. Let's move to Mr. Where'd he go? Let's go to I have 3 guys in tier 7. I got Jonathan Taylor, David Montgomery, and Raheem Mostert. 3 totally different players, all in the same tier, running back 24, 25, and 26. Jonathan Taylor is 19 for the world. He's 24 for me. I'm giving a little more love to Marlon Mack, that the coaches are giving love to, but they're also putting the hot hand phrases out there because that would be smart. So I don't have any stats for last year. So let's give you Marlon Mack's stat line for last year. Last 2 years, about 1,100 yards. And that's in 12 games and 14. Hasn't played a full season in 3 years. 14, 12, 14. I think that's his rookie year, 2017, right? That sounds right. Anyway, hasn't played a full season yet. 8 rushing touchdowns, 9 rushing touchdowns, good rushing touchdowns, 1 receiving touchdown, not much in the receiving. I bring up his stats to bring up Jonathan Taylor's. So take a push broom, push him over, give him the Jonathan Taylor. I gave Jonathan Taylor 231 rushing attempts. That is almost as many as Mack had last year without another Marlon Mack really behind him. I gave him 1,083 yards to Mack 685 this year, which is more than I gave Mack had last year. I gave him 8 touchdowns and 2 receiving touchdowns on 181 yards, 24 receptions. That's how we get to 24. I feel like he's going to be sitting behind Mack for too long. But when he comes on, I think he'll come on strong, kind of like Chubb did when he did, where you push these yards more back versus being spread out evenly.
Yeah.
And that's where you win your games, by taking them later. What say you?
So, yeah, we see that Mack being a complication to start out with. I'm just going to push that aside for now.
You don't see it. You do.
No, I do. He's definitely, I'll say that, he's definitely someone that has built his reputation. He's a good, solid running back. I remember picking him up on waivers and loving every minute of it. With Jonathan Taylor, he's in a class of his own. Jonathan Taylor was my number 1 running back coming out of college, as well as I think a lot of people was number 1. I think the situation is beautiful aside from Mack. Phillip Rivers coming in as the veteran quarterback he's doing. Loves the dump offs, loves to get the ball to his running backs, loves to establish that part of the game.
Do you think he's going to get a good chunk of that game, though, or is he going to be more Nyheim Hines in that part?
Yes, that's what I'm getting to is like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, maybe 5. We're not going to see enough of Taylor. We might be scared of that pick that we made. And I want to say off the bat, like in those weeks, shoot for him. Redraft, because I like to see in the last, like you kind of brought up, the last 6 weeks, 8 weeks, we can see Taylor just take it away and be that, someone that target, get a value, trade this scared owner who's not quite, committed to Taylor. We're going to have to be patient, I think. Taylor's the man. And if you are able to get him in Dynasty, you better be happy.
Yeah.
Straight up, like you're going to be able to build around him, I think, going into the future.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then there's the whole narrative of, oh, well, their early season is really soft, right? So it's be good for running backs. And so that we don't know what that really means. Does that mean that Marlon Mack looks like a stud, so Marlon Mack stays on the field longer with more of a hot hand? Doesn't mean that okay, we're winning, Marlon Mack's in there. All right, well, we got this game under control. Let's put the rookie in there and see what he can do. Oh man, he's doing good too. And so it opens the door quicker for him. That's a weird question that we just don't know how it's going to play out because it really could go either way. And Marlon Mack doesn't like to play full seasons. He's got a season pass to Six Flags, something like that. So you can't make all the games because he has to go to those. Let's go over to a guy that has gotten some interesting looks. People love him, people hate him. I traded him away, but I'm getting CEH in the end of all 4 trades to do it, so it worked out. Maybe we'll see. That's David Montgomery. Very very interesting. He's 26 to the world. He's 25 to me, so I'm about even with what it should be. Where do you sit on David Montgomery, or do you want me to read the stats first?
I'm going to say I'm right there with you. So I think your stats just back up where we're at.
All right, yeah. So the way they look is Montgomery almost 900 yards. Cohen's had 400 yards for a while. Receiving 185. Cohen's had 400. Little mixed bag there. 6 receiving touchdowns and 6 rushing touchdowns, 1 receiving touchdown for him. This year, I gave him about 1,000 yards, 7 rushing TDs. I gave him a little bump from last year at 254 receiving yards because I think they have more confidence in him. I still only gave him 1 touchdown. I didn't go crazy because I still think that Cohen is going to have about 300 rushing yards, which is not a huge number because he can move when he gets the ball. David Montgomery only averaged 3.9 last year versus Cohen's 4.4 or 3, excuse me. And receiving yards, 4.25 for Cohen. I think he's just going to go out there and keep stealing the ball, not giving up to Montgomery as much as we would like to see it happen. They could totally start passing it to him, but Cohen is such a little weapon. It's hard not to use him, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, I think that's enough on that guy, David Montgomery. He's just not sexy. He's not sexy to talk about. I don't know. I mean, he might be sexy in real life. I can't picture him, and it's not necessarily.
I don't know if that translates over.
What was that? Yeah. Yeah, David. Yeah. No. So, all right. Let's go to our probably last guy. I'm going to close out this tier with the third different type of running back. Although, after thinking about it, the first and second one were kind of similar, just in different scenarios. It's Raheem Mostert. And this will be a good one to close the show out with, I think. So, I have Raheem Mostert, often called Raheem No Start, at 26. And am I high on him? Where the hell is he?
I'm at 25.
Oh, I automatically just started looking down. So, okay, one spot apart. Basically, I have him and Montgomery flipped compared to everybody else. So, you want to talk about a little bit about him because I've still got to find him.
I think talking about Mostert, like Mostert. There's like 3 other guys somewhere in there too. I don't know if him, Tevin Coleman, and McKinnon kind of just like combined together, one person. So it's like it's really difficult for me. Yeah, right. It'd be difficult to me me to have so much confidence in him when you have these 2 guys there as well. He was demanding that trade, caused a little ruckus about a month ago or so. The dude's gifted. The dude's also 28. Like,
yeah,
I don't know if of course there's Frank Gore, who's crazy, and he's I don't even know 65 at this point. I'm not sure, but Mostert, he's not in the position yet that leverage that he's kind of socially putting out there and ruffling feathers, especially with Tevin Coleman ready and willing, and McKinnon we haven't seen in a couple years, who's ready and willing as well. So those are the 2 pieces that I'm just like, I don't.
Big question marks.
Makes me uncomfortable. Yeah, makes me uncomfortable.
So, do you draft any Niners running backs, or do you stay away? Yeah,
I'm staying away. I liked Mostert coming in. I feel like he demanded his role. He took it, and he ran like charged forward with it, and that was awesome to watch. You'd love to see guys that have kind of been journeymen in a sense and being able to break out so late in their career. It's crazy. It was exciting to watch. I'm not sure if that fire is going to kind of dwindle coming into this season.
Yeah, I'm. Can I get? Do you play any leagues that do team running back? Because if I can sign up for that, if I can sign up for the best ball version of running back, I will target him all day long. I'll target him in a best ball league. That's fine. I dig it. So I slated the team for 470 rushing attempts. Last year they had 498, which is 28 more than I paced him at. But the year before that, they only had 623. That's 75 less than they did last year. 408 the year before. That's almost 100 rushing attempts less than last year. 458 the year before. So a little more normalcy to what they ended at. So I slated him for 470. I feel like that was a fair number to do. And here's the passing attempts: 491, 607, 532, 478. Just going down. dropping. So, all right, here we go. Let's get to these running backs. I'm just going to go right to him.
I mean, I'll say just a little quick thing. I was going to ask you if Garoppolo is averaging more than 6 passing attempts a game for you or not.
That's a great question. I have him for 5. Yes, short answer is yes. 500 attempts, 16 games, 33 times 16. Nope. Yeah, that's 48. Yeah. So about 30 attempts a game is not a lot.
No, yeah.
No, not a lot. It's also not a lot of chance to score a lot of touchdowns.
Yeah.
But, all right, Raheem Mostert, 948 yards. Tevin Coleman, 600. McKinnon, 376. 8 touchdowns, 2. I think that's too high. I don't think they both get 8. But looking at their past performance, how many I had them statted out for, it still makes some sense. So I gave it to him. Receiving yards, 168 on 20 receptions, 2 passing touchdowns. Even if he gets that, which week is it?
Where's my dice at?
Yeah, right? Can we go to the casinos open again?
Vegas.
Yeah, no
Vegas.
So, again, I'll take him in best ball, but I'm not taking him. I would rather have David Boring Montgomery, who ain't sexy, on my team. And that's not true. Probably by the time I get to drafting him, where is he? Hold on. Where do I have to take him if I take him? I take him 60, 12, and as a 5th. Nope. Keep walking. You're not on my team.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I got to take someone I can take a shot on that if he does turn out to be the man in the 6th round, I feel like he's worth it. But he's never going to get there, especially this year, the way running backs are just flying. Whatever. All right. Why don't you remind the people where they can find your work?
Of course, at Fantasy Analyze, you can see it on the screen, as well as fantasyanalyzers.com. Look out for our podcast, Sack Experts, and me. We're going to be chopping it up similar to what we're doing today. You know, we're excited for that. Look out for our mailbags, as well as I want to shout out for Laptop Lombardi. He's a good partner of mine, and we discuss fantasy football very often. So keep an eye on his work. He's brilliant at waiver wires and analyzing those. So that's the gist of it. I'm definitely honored to be on here with you.
Man, I appreciate you coming on the show.
I appreciate, having me and just chilling.
Yeah.
Chopping it up. Love it.
All right, cool. I really appreciate you coming on the show. I hope you guys enjoyed having him on the show as much as I did. Make sure you give him a follow. Make sure you give him a listen in about a week. And make sure you tag me on that tweet so I can put that out there for you and let the world hear what you guys got going on. So, all right, it's been Bob's 3-Toed Warriors. You can find me at Bob's 3-Toed on Twitter, at Bob's 3-Toed Warriors on YouTube. Shows are Mondays and Thursdays. Live streams are currently on Wednesdays. All going to change in the not too distant future. And that's really it for today. Bob's 3-Toed Warriors and Matt saying soon enough you'll be able to hit the waiver wire, set your lineups, and dominate your opponents. But until then, see ya.